Welcome to drax.com. I'm Dr. Axe. Today I want to talk to you about something that I came across here, an article I was reading recently on how if you don't get enough sleep or get good quality sleep, it can actually take years off of your life. Now, sometimes I'll bring up how important sleep is, and it's one of the first things people tend to write off and say, well, I'm going to try and do other things, or we don't worry about it, but sleep is a really big deal. In fact, listen to this recent medical study. In the Journal of Occupation and Environmental Medicine, they did a study on over 18,000 women, and they found women who work the night shift versus women who work the day shift have 4 times more cancer, 4 times more incidences of breast cancer if someone's working the night shift. Now, this is important. I know for some of us, we can't get around what our hours are at work. But again, this is an important thing to recognize, that your sleep cycle is so important for your long-term health and for your lifespan. And specifically, the people that came to mind and people that they mentioned in this article were nurses who have to work the night shift. I know there's a lot of police officers who their schedule is always changing, or in general, people working in factories and having to work the night shift. But it can be a big problem for your health. Now, I want to give you some solutions for how to still get some good night's sleep. And then if you're not sleeping well, some things you really need to start doing. First off, hey, if your job is working the night shift, do your best to try and switch your shift or get during the daytime. Now, that may be a 1 or 2 year process of trying to make that happen, but do your best to get to that point. If you can't get to that point, what I recommend you do is, no matter what, get 8 hours of solid sleep. So if you go to bed at 4 a.m., sleep till noon. Again, do your very, very best to get 8 hours straight, get in a cold, dark room, and do your best to get that 8 hours straight. That is so, so important for getting your body healthy. Our body really is created to really fluctuate in what are called circadian rhythms. And circadian rhythms have to do when the sun sets and it rises. But your brain and your hormones, and even the way your liver detoxes, it's based on light and darkness. And so, again, you want to make sure when you're sleeping, it is in a dark place, even if it's in the middle of the day. Now, a few other things that are important when it comes to sleep. By the way, let me say how much sleep it's important to get. 7 to 9 hours every single night is how much sleep you should be getting every night. 7 to 9 hours. And actually, I saw a recent study where they said when they looked at people living in 1910 versus 2010, so about a 100-year difference, people back in 1910 got an average of an hour and a half more of sleep every single night. They averaged closer to 8.5. Most Americans today average about 7 hours or less of sleep a night. Another medical journal said if you sleep less than 7 hours of sleep a night, your chance of getting sick with a cold, a flu, or another health problem triples. So again, sleep is important. Now, here's my top sleeping tips. Number 1, like I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that your sleeping environment is dark and it's a colder environment. Number 2, try and go to the bed at the same time every night. So go to bed at 10 a.m., wake up at 10 p.m., go to bed at 6 a.m. Let me start over. Go to bed at 10 p.m., waking up at 6 a.m. so you get that 8 hours of solid sleep a night. And I know it may not be perfect every night, but doing your very best to get in that rhythm of going to bed and waking up at the same time, that's important. Also, nutritionally, do not eat a bunch of carbohydrates before you go to bed. Sugars, grains, pastas, rices, even beans and fruit. Lower your carbohydrate consumption before you go to bed. That's why I suggest for dinner doing organic vegetables, nuts and seeds, and organic meat. So organic meat, vegetables, nuts and seeds, those are the things you should really be eating before dinner, not a lot of other stuff. The other thing I recommend is if you are consuming caffeine, don't consume it after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Hey, a little bit okay is for breakfast if you're doing some green tea or even some organic coffee, but when you do it later in the day, caffeine has a 12-hour half-life, which means 12 hours it's going to stay in your system. So if you're drinking that at 4 o'clock, it's not out of your system until 4 a.m. the next day. And so really it's important that really you only do caffeine if you're going to do it first thing in the morning, not later on in the day. The other thing that's really important in terms of sleep patterns is making sure you're getting proper nutrients. Magnesium in studies has actually been shown to help you sleep better. So have omega-3 fatty acids. So load up on foods high in magnesium like nuts and seeds and raw dairy products. Also in foods containing omega-3 fats like grass-fed beef, flax seeds, chia seeds, salmon, fish oil, taking a cod liver oil supplement. All those things can be vitally important when it comes to sleeping well. And the last thing here is exercise. I found when I'm exercising, I sleep a lot better that night, especially when I'm doing burst training or weight training can actually help you sleep better as well. So try all those principles out, get a good night's sleep. And again, this is important for you, it's important for your kids. Make sure that your sleep becomes a big priority. You'll be healthier for it. Thanks for watching. Maximize your health.